A cub bit, the human in terror. She embraced him instead of striking back. The observation deck of the Celestial Accord hummed with the quiet efficiency of a dozen species working in uneasy harmony. Ilara stood at the viewport, her reflection ghosting across the starfield beyond. Human. The word carried weight here, in the sector of space where her kind were still regarded as curiosities. Aggressive, unpredictable, and dangerous. She'd heard the whispers. Deathworlders, they called humans. Born on a planet that actively tried to kill its inhabitants. Evolved from predators. Capable of violence that made even the Kryn warcast uncomfortable. The galactic community had only opened formal relations with Earth 5 years ago, and trust was a currency humans had yet to earn. Ilara adjusted her botanical survey kit and headed toward the Arboretum. The Accord was a joint research vessel, a symbol of the fragile peace between worlds. She was one of 3 humans aboard, tasked with cataloging xenoflora, a role chosen specifically because it seemed non-threatening. Let the human play with plants, they'd decided. Keep her away from weapons, from tactical stations, from anywhere she might remember her violent heritage. The Arboretum was a cathedral of alien vegetation. Crystalline fronds from Helios IV caught the artificial light, casting rainbow patterns across the deck. Phosphorescent vines from the Andara system pulsed with bioluminescent rhythms. Ilara moved through them with practiced care, her scanner humming softly. A sound stopped her. Soft. Whimpering. She tilted her head, listening. There, behind a cluster of thorian moss trees, Ilara set down her equipment and approached slowly, hands visible and open. A universal gesture she'd learned. Predators hide their weapons. Peaceful beings show empty hands. The creature was small, no larger than a terrier, covered in silver-blue fur that stood on end. Its 6 legs were tucked beneath its body, and its 3 eyes, 2 forward-facing, one on a flexible stalk, were wide with terror. A Lyrian cub. She recognized the species from the briefings. The Lyrians were prey species, herbivorous with nervous systems so highly attuned that sudden movements could send them into cardiac arrest. "Hey there," Ilara whispered, her voice barely audible. She'd learned to modulate her tone, to strip away the confidence that humans wore like armor. Confidence looked like predation to species like the Lyrians. The cub's breathing was rapid, shallow. Lost, probably, separated from its family unit. On a ship this size, with its labyrinthine corridors and mixed atmospheres, a young Lyrian could easily become disoriented. Ilara lowered herself to the ground, making herself smaller, non-threatening. She was 2 meters away when the cub's name tag became visible. Reinar. Reinar, she said softly. That's a good name, strong. The cub's eye stalk swiveled toward her, focusing. Recognition, perhaps, or just tracking a potential threat. Ilara pulled a ration bar from her pocket, plant-based, suitable for most herbivores. She broke off a piece and placed it on the ground, then slid it forward with 1 finger. "I'm not going to hurt you. I promise." Reinar didn't move. His 3 eyes remained locked on her, his small body trembling. Ilara had studied the Lyrian psychology reports. Fear could cascade through them like wildfire. If he panicked, his heart might simply stop. She began to hum. An old Earth song, something her grandmother had sung. No words, just melody, soft and rhythmic like rainfall. Minutes passed. Ilara remained still, humming, her eyes half closed to appear less threatening. Slowly, incrementally, Reinar's breathing steadied. His fur began to flatten, then he moved. Not toward the food, toward her. Ilara's heart rate spiked, but she controlled it, kept her breathing even. The cub crept forward, his 6 legs moving in their alien gait. 1 meter, half a meter, and then he was there, pressing against her leg, his small body still shaking. Ilara moved with glacial slowness, extending 1 hand. She touched his fur, barely grazing it with her fingertips. Soft, warm. She could feel his pulse racing beneath the silver-blue coat. "It's okay," she whispered. "I've got you." That's when Reinar bit her. It wasn't much of a bite. His species lacked true fangs, but his small, flat teeth clamped onto the fleshy part of her palm and held. Terror response. Pure instinct. He bit down harder, drawing blood. Pain lanced through Ilara's hand. Every human instinct screamed at her to pull away, to shake him off, to react. Deathworlder reflexes, honed by millions of years of evolution. Strike back. Defend yourself, survive. She did none of those things. Instead, Ilara wrapped her other arm around the cub and pulled him close, cradling him against her chest. Her bleeding hand remained where it was, letting him hold on, letting him have his anchor in the storm of his fear. Shh, she breathed. I know you're scared. I know. She felt Reinar's heart hammering against her ribs, felt the tremors running through his small frame. He was so young, so terrified, so certain he was about to die. Ilara began to rock, gently, still humming that old Earth song. Her hand throbbed, blood trickling down her wrist, but she didn't move it. Didn't flinch. Gradually, Reinar's jaw loosened. His breathing slowed. The terror chemicals flooding his system began to metabolize, and clarity returned to his three eyes. He released her hand and looked up at her, all three eyes blinking in sequence. There you are, Ilara said, smiling despite the pain. Welcome back. The arboretum doors hissed open. Ilara looked up to see a Lyrian adult, Reinar's parent, judging by the matching fur patterns frozen in the doorway. Behind them stood Captain Threll, a Kryn whose four eyes were wide with shock. They'd seen it. Seen the bite, seen the blood, seen the human, the Death Worlder, cradle the cub instead of striking back. Reinar's parent moved forward, their translator crackling. You did not. He was scared, Ilara said simply. She carefully transferred Reinar to his parents' waiting arms. Just scared. Captain Threll approached, his expression unreadable. You are injured. I'll heal. Ilara wrapped her hand in a cloth from her kit. He's safe. That's what matters. The Lyrian parent held Reinar close, their eyes, all six between them, fixed on Ilara. We have misjudged humans. Ilara shook her head. You judged us by what we can do. That's not wrong. We are dangerous. But you're learning what we choose to do. That's the part that matters. As she left the arboretum, Ilara heard Reinar's small voice through the translator. The human is kind. The human is kind. Word spread through the celestial accord like light through vacuum. The human who chose compassion over instinct. The Death Worlder who bled rather than harm a child. In the days that followed, the whispers changed. Humans were still dangerous, yes. Still Death Worlders. But now there was something else in those whispers. Something that sounded almost like respect. Perhaps the galaxy was learning. The most terrifying predators were the ones who chose not to hunt.